Okay, great. Finally, we are live. So basically, I was using Windows after a long time, and something went wrong there. Okay, now it's working. So there was some issue with the time zone because I was using Ubuntu, and it did some mess up with Windows time zone. And now we are live. Okay, so basically, we are live on two different platforms. So let me know from which platform you're watching this. Is it YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn? Now we are actually starting with a new show. This is the Web3 show, and the planning is to go for one episode per week. Mostly it will be live, but sometime we can also go for a recorded sessions based on how it goes. Okay, great. So also let me know from which city you are. I can see a lot of people are watching this, so let me know from which city, which place you are, and what you think about blockchain technology in general and what you think about Web3 in general. So the comment section is on. You can talk and we will see your chat as well. Okay, now how we are going to do this show. So this is basically the Web3 show, as I mentioned, and we are going to talk about all the technologies related to Web3 and blockchain in general. So maybe per week per episode, we'll pick up one topic and we'll talk about it. But today, it's the opening episode. Now, this show is not, so I'm not doing alone this show here. We have Pranav Maheshwari, who is a blockchain developer, also a speaker for different platforms. So Pranav, taking you on this stream. Hey, hi Pranav, how are you doing? Okay, Pranav, you're there. Can you hear me? Okay,
Hello.
something is
Yeah. Hi,
wrong. Yeah,
Naveen.
hi
Actually,
Pranav.
you are stuck for me. I don't know why on StreamYard, but I think you
Oh,
want me
that's
to
weird.
give. Uh-huh.
Yeah, go on, go on.
Should I try to like? Let me just try.
Sure, sure. So I think everything is good from my side. Just if you can refresh your page and yeah, okay. So great. So Pranav will be here and he will be talking about this show and what is expected. So I guess Pranav is all set now.
Yeah,
Pranav,
yeah, yeah.
all good?
There was some technical glitch. I don't know what's happening, but yeah, back and all good to all set to go. You like, what did you say? Do you want me to introduce myself? Like,
Yes,
this
please,
is how
please
we
go
start.
on. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Hello, guys. Nice to be here. To like first of all, thanks to Naveen for providing such an awesome platform to discuss about the Web3 knowledge. This whole infrastructure that is booming right now is making changes and is making winds to make the differences, right? So I'm really thankful for having this particular thing. Web3 Stack show is definitely Web3 show in general is something that I'm very excited about. A little bit about me. I started off with blockchain and Web3 in general when everybody was moving away from it back in 2017. That was the time when there was a whole boom of Ethereum price and everything that bought lots and lots of people, and that was the time when it was boomed, and then it was like going down. So most of the people came there, saw that it was just like just a wave, just a small thing, just a hype, and they just went off. But since I can say since the my childhood, I've been mostly before investing into something, before getting into something, even putting 5,000 rupees into something, I've been very fundamentally understanding the whole concept and then driving through. Right. So when I used to invest in like share markets, I used to understand about, let's say, Reliance and how what they are doing, what are their subsidies, what is the problems that they are solving, and then I used to invest like even like 2,000, 3,000 rupees. That's because I was born in such a conservative family. Similarly, when I got introduced to crypto, I started understanding the fundamentals behind making this technology a thing, right? And that actually drove me even further to it, right? Being a technology person, I understood this particular sector more than I used to understand other commodities. I understood Bitcoin. I read the white paper of Bitcoin. At that time, there were not many people talking about Bitcoin. I read the white paper. I understood the psychology about, flowable, you can say digital, or, what we call as the next generation gold, in which there'll be only 21 million mined. Then there will be, inflation rates that will be settled upon. Then the mining and the blockchain, which is actually solving this whole distributed system purposes. and it actually blew my mind. That was the time I thought that, oh, this is something bigger than what we actually think about as crypto speculative asset, in which people just you might have heard about these stories. Somebody just spent, let's say, $1,000 on something, and now he's a billionaire or something like that. It is much more than that. It is gonna be the next wave of how humans interact on web, right? And that's how I got started in the blockchain space and Web3 and the open, in general, the Web3 space. And yeah, that was my first interaction. Went just after understanding the technology, and getting through the realms, I did some hackathons over there. And that was the first time I saw, people being so excited. I have went to many Web2 hackathons, all of them are great. But when I talk to people in the Web3, those protocol, those kind of people, they thought that they were in something more than themselves. They were creating rather a community, and the Web3 inclusiveness of the community actually made me attracted to it even more. That people are so much mission driven. All of them want to make a change. Nobody wants to talk about price, what they are getting, what they are not. And that actually led me to just have a project being spun up. At that time, I was creating Twitter on blockchain, and at that time, just crypto kitties boomed up. One tweet was taking about $25, and the scaling was an issue. So I was a little disheartened, but kept on doing that freelancing smart contract development work, and also taught lots and lots of colleges on the blockchain space, like what blockchain is, why should you be fundamentally learning about this. Like, I went to a lot of Bangalore colleges, I can still count that on. And while you're teaching about blockchain, right, you actually get in love with that technology even more, because while you're teaching, you are like, oh my god, it was more than what I was thinking of, right? So that was how I went into that, gone through that, and then eventually started working for Polygon. At that time, it was at a very early stage. There were lots and lots of projects that were spin out of India, and those were ICOs, and most of them were scams, right? But Matic,
Yeah.
also known as Polygon, also known as Matic, at that point in time, was doing a really awesome job of creating the Web3 cult in India. Went through that. Did we actually fought, like, we every day, when we were all the time coding and things like that, we always felt like soldiers who were pressing against the walls of Web2 in general, and the Indian stigma of being a scammer in the Web3 space. So that's how I got started, led their solutions, and eventually now I work for the Graph, which is also a Web3 company which indexes blockchain, which we in further talk about. So very exciting journey. Really excited to be here talking about Web3, and yeah, really happy to be a part of this show.
Oh, that's an awesome introduction, Pranav. So two things. First, so if you want to explain blockchain, or maybe in general, to someone who don't know about anything about crypto or blockchain, and since we have this confusion, the moment you talk about blockchain, they say that's illegal, right? But then they get confused between cryptocurrencies, which is not actually a legal tender, with the blockchain technology. So when
Right.
you will you suggest someone who is fresher in the market to start with blockchain, or will you suggest them start something else and then move towards blockchain?
Right. So you can say, like, it's like, in programming languages, there is a underlying language, and then there is, for example, Python, which is the more advanced language. Similarly, blockchain is cryptography marvel. It is like, how cryptography works. They made sure that, like, whatever cryptographically high order functions like Kekak 256 and all of them were collected, made sure there was a distributed system moving around it, and then blockchain was actually made upon. So to learn blockchain, you need to have, you can say, like, a little bit knowledge about the distributed systems, a little bit knowledge about cryptography. And when you start coding in blockchain, right, it will be like you will be writing the smart contracts, in which if let's say, C or any of those language, you can actually write any of these smart contracts, and then you will have to show it in the front end using React or whatever. So you can say, like, if you want to venture into blockchain, like, there is a fundamental concept, and then there is development. For the fundamental concepts, you need to learn a little, like, I'm not saying be a master or PhD in distributed systems or something, but you need to understand a little bit of the this particular space if you want to, like, get into development, right? Directly understand the fundamentals, little bit about the distributed system space, little bit about cryptography in general. That should be good. for the development part, if you know a little about any of the programming language and have something in the front end space as well, you should be good to start with. So that's the first stigma of understanding this concept. Secondly, the most important one, like blockchain is not crypto, crypto is not blockchain. It's like Reliance company versus the Reliance shares. Okay, so the Reliance company, the geo and everything that we are currently interacting with on the internet is the technology, and everybody, including most of the governments that I've ever heard, talk that blockchain is the future. We want to encourage it, and the crypto is the the asset which the blockchain is working on. For example, we can talk about our homegrown Matic network, which now is known as Polygon. Those people have a token, they have a crypto related to it, but there is a technology. They work on scaling Ethereum, which is the technology, and they promote that particular part, that we want to scale Ethereum, we want to make it big, and definitely they have a token to interact with that. So it is definitely a thing that the blockchain is a technology, and the currency is that. But again, this is something that most of the people, I can say this is a little controversial on my end, but I'm gonna go for it because I believe in that particular thing. And I would say, in the public blockchain domain, you cannot say I favor blockchain but I disregard cryptocurrency. It is not something that can be done. If you want to learn about blockchain in public space, and you want to, let's say, interact with it, you will require Ethereum, you will require Matic tokens, right? So you can say that the tokens are very much attested to the technology, right? And if you know the technology, you will know the token functions even better. And if you are even a trader or a person who wants to buy and sell, you can do better. But in general, if you want to develop and make the blockchain technology progress in the public blockchain domain sector, you cannot say I like blockchain but I disregard cryptocurrency. It is a part of it. It has to be a part of it, because the economics that is created in this whole ecosystem cannot work without its own token system.
Yeah, that's something very interesting, right? If you support public blockchain, you need to have that token in your mind as well, because that's how it works. You can't, because in the public blockchain, you have to incentivize your miners, you have to incentivize the network, and without token, you can't do that, right? So that's important. Thank you so much, Prano, for that. With that, I have another question. You
Right.
mentioned the company which you're working for, The Graph, and you talked about
Yeah.
indexes, right? So what exactly it does and how it works?
Right. Definitely. So again, as I told you, right, the Web3 space is a new economy, a new way of, like, we'll talk about the Web3 in general and how we are, working on it, how it is great and things like that, for sure. But to start with, I can say that, everything that currently that we'll talk about in the public blockchain space has a token of its own. And, it is a utility to have that particular token in governance, or let's say, in interacting with it. So so there is a Web2 infrastructure, like there is Google, right? Similarly, for the Web3 infrastructure, there is the graphs. What Google does is it indexes the Web2 space and gives you the result, right? For example, if you like put a web page, if you make your own web page and somebody wants to search you, he will not be able to until and unless you have the Google indexed your particular web page, and you'll be able to search it, right? So it
Right.
is nothing but an indexer, right? What is an indexer? It actually just makes sure that, okay, for example, if there is a book and you want to understand where this particular topic is, you need to go to the first index page, right? That is what Google is doing for the Web3 Web2 space. If you want to go to a particular, let's say, naveenreddy.com, it will just index naveenreddy.com and people will search it on Google and they'll be able to get it, right? Similarly, as what indexes do in the Google, in the books, right? Similarly, the graph does the same thing, indexing blockchain data, but in the Web3 space, right? Google does it in a centralized database infrastructure. And since we are moving away from centralized infrastructure to Web3, which is blockchains, which is distributed decentralized infrastructure, we require to have a different kind of indexing, which is also decentralized. So what Google does for Web2, the graph does for Web3, it indexes blockchain data and gets the information out. So if you are interacting with a Web3 application, let's say Uniswap, or you're interacting with any of these, decentralized applications, all the data that people interact with on chain, whatever uh, interaction they do on chain, that is going inside the blockchain, and that needs to be portrayed in the analysis page, and that indexing is done by the graph. Definitely very technical. When we I think the audience of this show will grow with this particular show, right? We'll cover the graph
Yeah.
in general in depth in one particular show, but for now, I think it is good to actually get started about, okay, this is what it is, and it is
Yeah.
not just about price. It is much more than that. It is technology which is changing how people communicate, people manage funds, and it is much more than that. Yeah.
Right. So that's a good start, So now let's talk about this show. So we have done with the introduction. Now they know who you are and what is expected. It's time to talk about this show. So why this show? Why the Web3 show, Pranav?
I would say, like, again, okay, let's see how this show actually got its start. How did we get started with it, right? So once I was just scrolling through YouTube like every youngster does in the current world, and I saw that Naveen had posted awesome Web3 video about it, and I was like, and that had lots and lots of views, right? So I was like, oh my god, this guy, I have learned Java from him. And I was very disappointed with how the Web3 development is currently going on in India. We need influencers and what we call as the tech guys who are creating awesome content to talk about Web3 and give this particular original knowledge to the masses of India, so that we can also lead in the Web3 world as we did in the Web2 world. So I, saw your particular video and I was like, yeah, this can be something big. I pitched you, and that's how we got started. So basic intention of having this Web3 show, as per me, is to to tell the current people who are in development, who are developers in the Web2 space. They have done awesome things, and now they are trying to explore something in which they can create impact. Youngsters nowadays want to create impact, and Web3 is the way to go about it. So we just want to create content to tell you what Web3 is, how can you be impactful, give you the right knowledge which is required, right? Normally, if you go in current, like, what is blockchain, the second video you will get is buy Dogecoin, right? Which is such a foolish thing, right? It is much more than that. You can be a developer, and currently I can tell you, being a part of the space for 3 years, if there are 100 developers, there are 1,000 jobs, and people are literally going on auction platforms and betting on developers that, you know give I'll take this much money, and you just come here and work for us. So you can say, as we are built, what internet as an opportunity gave in 2000 is what Web3 public blockchains, Ethereum, Solana, all these awesome Web3 space, Web3 cult is giving you in 2021. Don't miss the bus. If you had missed the bus in 2000, this is your time. You have the ticket via the Web3 show. So we are just generating the tickets, and we want everybody to be a part of this Web3 cult, understand the technology, understand the realms, and to have India in general as in the leading position of being in the Web3 journey.
Awesome. In fact, when Pranav, when you mentioned about your journey started in 2017, the same thing happened with me, because in December 2017, I was doing a YouTube live, and then someone was asking about blockchain. And to be very honest, I was not knowing about blockchain at that point, not even the word. I heard about Bitcoin, and there's some technology behind Bitcoin, but not as a blockchain word. And in fact, I also heard about Ethereum, using which you can make smart contracts. But suddenly, when someone was asking about blockchain, I was like, okay, we'll see that later. I was skipping that question, and then after that live session, I went online, researched about blockchain, and something clicked, because the way you mentioned that distributed systems and programming, cryptography. Luckily, in my college days, and after that as well, I was doing some online sessions, or sorry, some classroom sessions for different colleges on distributed systems, and everything got connected. When I was learning about blockchain, it was like, okay, I'm learning distributed systems with cryptography, with programming, and that's blockchain. And that was exciting. So, and at that point, I realized the same thing. In India, it takes a lot of time for us to go through new technologies. The established technologies in US, they come to India as a project, and then we start working on them. So we are always late when it comes to technologies. But for blockchain, I thought, hey, it's a good time. In India as well, or maybe for all my subscribers, I wanted to make blockchain content. I did some content, but there was not a lot of hype. Suddenly, something started this year in Jan, Feb, all because of Elon Musk tweets, and everyone got mad and they wanted to know about what is cryptocurrencies and what is blockchain behind it. Then Solana came into picture. Solana said, "Hey, we can do more transactions than Ethereum." There was a big debate, and that's where the general public wanted to know more about cryptocurrencies and blockchain. So, on one hand, we have tech experts who want to explore the baseline technology. On the other hand, we have general public who want to know more about crypto and something about the base technology, which is blockchain. And I guess it's a good start to have a show, right? The Web3, where they can learn, they can expand their knowledge, and of course, you will not get 100% from this show. We will give you all the ideas and what is the technology. It's your job after this session to go online and search about it. Let's say today, if we talk about Solana, of course we can't teach you everything of Solana in 1 hour. It's your job to go online, research, do something, and let us know next time when we do live session in the comment section what you have learned. So we can build as a community, we can grow together, and that's the aim of this show. And of course, we
Right.
may shift our focus to something else, depending upon your feedback.
Definitely, definitely. And topping on that particular part, what this show caters to is mostly like, I can say techies and developers who have been so good in Web2, trying to explore the dimensions and get into it. As Naveen told, it's normally like, all the innovation and everything happening in the West and all the service-based stuff happening in India, which is really very unfortunate. We get in late, and the reason why we get in late is because of lack of content, lack of information that exists in the current ecosystem, and in general the markets. So that's why we want to bring you the real content, the real the real magic behind crypto in general, which is creating this awesome awesome ecosystem of people in general. Also just to talk to you about the profitability and cryptocurrencies and everything, we'll not be discussing about prices. We'll not be discussing, okay, just buy this particular token. There is you'll find these telegram places where there is, okay, we'll give you this signal, you give me 5,000 rupees, and there are 100 such places. Also, like right now you will find somebody on YouTube just commenting that there was this friend, I was very broken, then I found this person who is a very good cryptocurrency guy, and yeah, he made such an awesome thing, just go and contact him. Don't do that, guys. If you understand the fundamentals of this particular technology, you can never be disassociated to it. I have never seen anybody in my 4 years. I've seen a lot of ups and downs in the Web3 space. In 2017 it was such a boom, everybody wanted to be a part of it, and then there was a dump. But when people understood the fundamentals of Bitcoin, they understood the fundamentals of Ethereum, they kept on developing on it, and everything came to reality in 2020, when everything that people were developing for 3 years actually came to the active life, the active being. And those were the early adopters that actually got most amount of advantage right now. You might have heard India's first 3 crypto billionaires. All those 3 people worked on the technology, the blockchain technology, and tried to scale Ethereum with Polygon when nobody was talking about they were just, everybody thought it was an hype. So we want you to get out of the hype. We want you to get out of just thinking crypto as technology and think it as rather the next way of how humans communicate. And again, if you understand this technology, it will not just be that you are a developer who is getting a job. It will be much more than that. Crypto is not just about buying tokens and selling it at high prices. There is yield farming, there is airdrops. I'll not say about mine, but in general, people got airdrops of 100K, which is like 70 lakh rupees just for having a ENS domain name. There are lakhs and lakhs of ENS airdrops that keep on happening every year, right? There is yield farming opportunity, which is 2000% APIs and things, APYs and everything, right? It is much more than just technology. It is Web3 in general. I can say it is the best marriage between technology and economics brought together to make something very big, which is the next human interaction which is happening virtually. It is not just about we just coding, and it is not related to the world, and that's the best part. That's the most fulfilling part, right? Then we were a part of Matic network. We used to code something, we used to develop something good, and that used to reflect directly in the markets with the Matic token price and things like that. So what you develop right now, you will be able to see the right impact just at that point in time, and that's the most impactful thing for a developer, right? If you go to Google, you work for Google, on LinkedIn, you might see today is the best day of my life because I joined Google. It is the best. And when people get inside Google, they're just working on a very small space bar kind of thing, just developing it all their life. What is the impact they're creating? It is, I'm no disregards to the Web2 world what is doing, but what I'm trying to tell you is this particular fresh markets that have created are much more than that. It is much more opportunity that you can ever think, and the impact you will be creating in the markets by being an awesome developer here, by being an awesome ecosystem person here, is priceless and much more than what you can think about it. So this is the show. Get started, listen to it, understand the realms of what Web3 can do to your lives, and do comment as to how did it change your world.
Right. And since you talked about this show, so every week we are going to go live or a recorded video. So once in a week, tentative time for now is Wednesday, 7 p.m. But we might change it based on the reaction. If you want it some other day, let us know in the comment section as well. Now, one more thing is we are talking about Web3, right? And then maybe there are some new audience here who don't know about Web3, and then the show name itself is Web3. So, Pranav,
Right.
I will give you some time to talk about Web3. It's your time, it's your show now for next 3 to 4 minutes. Let's take them to what is Web3 and how it works.
Sure. The biggest problem that currently occurs with me is if I start talking about Web3, I cannot stop. It's I'm very talkative person, so I'm so
So
excited about this
I
technology
will
that
give you timeout in between if you go over it.
for sure. But to we will learn about this in terms of analogies, because in that sense we can understand better. Okay, so you can say 2000 was the time when Web 1 was created. Web 1 was the first place that actually, when people understood that you can interact with each other via the internet communication, and there were open protocols like HTTP which people build upon. So you can say Web 1 were just like static websites. You could just see everything and just consume content. For example, the current pranavmaheshwari.com, I just write about myself. There is nothing I can do. It's just normal information that people have. So it was just a read only websites were created in Web 1. That was the starting of how human interaction actually started on the internet. That was the Web 1, HTTP based stuff, everything static, read only websites. That was actually the start of this global thing. Then came Web 2. Web 2 was in which you can not just read content, but also be writing those particular content, like YouTube. Right now YouTube is a part of an awesome Web 2 content thing, right? We are currently writing inside YouTube by creating this particular thing. So what happened is, you just don't read or consume content, but you can also write the content. You can interact with that particular content, you can like the video and things like that, right? So that was the Web 2 part of it. So you, in the Web 1 you could only read, in the Web 2 you could read and write. But the biggest problem was that eventually, with deep penetration of internet from Web 1 to Web 2, there were few kind of you can say there were few dominating forces in the web world that actually dominated this whole space and started abusing what we call as the human data. If I say in the future everything will be digital, and this has actually been proven by coronavirus, you can say it's very true. But if that future is owned by three or four big fang ultad kind of companies, will it be a future? The answer is no. If the whole human interaction that used to happen physically is being converted to digital interaction, it has to be much more than that, right? The ownership of YouTube right now is owned by Google, and that is the biggest problem. It can do whatever it wants to do without taking your concern. For example, there might be hundreds of YouTubers right now in India, right? And let's say just YouTube India changes its policy because they want to be more profitable. nobody can do anything in that. Just imagine your life is dependent on internet, your life is dependent on web 2, and these big companies change their policies as per them, and everything is actually coming to a halt for you guys. That's not what the future of internet can be, because internet is not just about interacting and consuming content or being a part of our life. It is rather the whole life. And that's why we needed something more than just what we have currently, which is just reading writing content. We want to own the particular platform that we are reading the writing content is, and that is what is web 3. Web 1 is read, web 2 is read and write, the web 3 is read, write and own that particular platform. What that means is that if YouTube was created in the web 3 orientation, if YouTube was created in the web 3 world, it would have this concept of all the creators would form something like a decentralized autonomous organization. That token governance will have its own token model, YouTube token model, and people would be voting to say yes or no to a particular thing. What that would do good for the community is that as of now, only the YouTube, Google India actually decides what is good and bad. And definitely, because we are humans, we think about our profits. They don't think about the creator's profit. And that is the biggest missing part in the Web 2 world. Only
So
the
just
people
to give an example here, Pranav, the dislike option. So there's no, I mean, we don't see a public dislike count as of now. So YouTube removed it, and by saying that it's good for the creators, but I don't think so. It's only good for the advertisements and some other issues. But yeah,
definitely. So, like,
they should
as
have
of
asked
now,
all the content creators about
yeah.
this.
So they're just promoting their agenda, right? Despite people themselves writing the content, right? It's not like they have created content and they're doing things like that. It is people's content that they are owning, all the data that people have created that they are owning, and they are doing whatever they want to do, which is not the right thing. We have to have a community. We have to have this awesome, thing in which people own the platform that their life is dependent on. And that is what Web3 brings to you. It is read, write, and own. And that is the most beautiful thing, and that's how the next wave of web is going to be. It is not just about Dogecoin going to moon. It is rather about how, as I told you, next human interaction it is changing internet's future from totally owned by somebody to now being owned by the community, governed by the community. You can say it is internet's democracy. Naveen, what do you think?
Yeah, that is correct. In fact, it's not just about YouTube, as you mentioned. We have so many companies. They are actually they
Yeah.
have the power to do whatever they want, right? I remember in 2004, the way companies were earning money was different. But after 2004, because of Web 2.0, now when they know that they got the audience, they got the data, and now they are using your data in the way they want, and they're earning a lot of money. So the entire model of earning money or the of the profitability changed from 2004, right? And now when you think about it, when you say, hey, no, in 3.0, we don't have to give our data to the company to use directly. They have to take our permission. But the question is how they will earn. And that's the thing, right? It's not just about technology which is changing, but the entire ecosystem of earning money for the companies and developers, and how as a user you will consume data will be changing. So it's not just one thing it is changing, it's the entire ecosystem. And the only thing is, now whenever you have some big things to change, it takes time. It's taking almost 10 years for the world to know about blockchain. It may take another 5 years for all the companies to move away from Web 2.0 to 3.0. Now, the advantage which we will be having, if you know this at this point, is the early movers, right? So let's say in 2024 or 2023, when everyone and most of the companies will be asking for blockchain knowledge, you already have experience of 2 years, right? And as Pranav mentioned, there are so many jobs available as of now as well. The only thing is you have to know it, right? You need to know some blockchain technology, maybe public like Ethereum, Solana, or maybe private like Hyperledger Fabric or Corda. So it's all about being an early mover in this world.
Definitely.
Thanks.
And you can already see the adoption coming there, right? Web 2 companies have understood what they were doing is not the right thing to move forward. Best example, Facebook changing its name from Facebook to Meta, which is a part of the metaverse, right? They have
Right.
understood whatever they were doing is not going to work in the future. They have to give the ownership of the platform to the users directly, because Web3 is the next future. And Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook being a founder owned company, they were able to do that. Currently, you will find only two kind of people. That used to happen even in the internet when it was actually being born. They were either people who understood internet and understood it is going to be big and adopted it and moved their business to internet, or they resisted internet and they got lost and they are no more existing. There are hundreds of
Right.
examples for that, and that is what is happening in the current state as well. There are lots and lots of internet companies. One kind of internet companies, they're just saying that this is just a hype, and trying to propagate that particular agenda, which is not going to work, and they are going to be dismissed in the future. And the second kind, like Facebook, is and has understood that if you don't adopt to this new change, then things are not going to work. Twitter has, if you just go on Twitter's job portal right now, you'll find blockchain. Just if you just go there, you'll find like crypto native people trying to, like, they're hiring for crypto, they're hiring for blockchain, they're hiring for Web3 native people, because they have understood that, okay, this is the future. If we, like, just remain on the Web2 realms and do whatever you want to do, that is not going to work, my friend. And that's why Twitter has understood, Facebook has understood, and the adoption to this is much much more massive that we think. People might, you might think I'm crazy when I say that, that all the interactions that we do currently on these centralized portal based platforms are not going to happen. Everything is going to happen in a decentralized fashion. But technology is like that. It is slowly, then suddenly. And the people who understood when it was slow are the people who take most amount of advantage. And that's why here we have created this awesome thing to just think about crypto, not just being a Web2 realm, but rather something which is more than what actually can you think about on the internet. It is changing what internet can be. It is creating the future of internet. And I would say, what a time to be alive right now. If you're in the tech space, what a time, right? There are lots and lots of opportunities and very less number of people trying to pursue it. So you can not just do a job and do things, but you can find like crazy people creating crazy, like, hackathon projects and now becoming big. There is a small example of Instadap. They used to hack with me in ETH India hackathon, some kind of, and now they are a $10 billion company funded by Naval Ravikant.
Oh,
So that's what I'm trying to tell you, right? It is much more than that. Just be in there, consume the right content, understand the right future, believe in what you are trying to build, and you will be there.
right. Awesome. So, of course, as we mentioned this, right, we will be doing one topic per episode, right? Maybe next time, somewhere we can talk about NFTs as well in the entire session. Maybe we can talk about one public blockchain per session, or maybe we can also explore some private blockchains in between per episode. So, what's the best way for them to listen to this show? Should we make it more as a podcast where they can, I love this idea where if you're doing something and if you want to learn, just put up the headphones, play a podcast, doesn't matter where, and just keep learning. We can do that, right? So this should be more of a podcast where they can learn the things. And in between, if
Right.
we want to share our screen to show you something, maybe you can just grab your phone, look at the screen. Once it's done, put it back and continue with the podcast. Great.
Definitely. We'll be talking about technology, and we'll be discussing as to what it is. For example, if next time we just talk about Ethereum, it will not just be about Ethereum as a technology like blockchain and smart contracts. It will be about what is coming in the future of Ethereum. That can be advantageous to the token, but we won't talk about that. But you will understand, okay, EIP 1559 is coming and the POS POW merger is coming, which will make it deflationary, and you will understand, oh my god, that might be good for token and things like that. So what I'm trying to tell you is that this in general show will talk about technology, keeping in mind that most of the people that we'll be talking about are trying to move from the web 2 oriented developer space to the web 3 oriented developer space. And it will be a developer oriented podcast in which we cover one project at a time, and let you know what is the thing to discuss about and develop on it. For example, currently if you just jump into the web3 world, there are 100 things you can learn about Ethereum, you can learn about Solana, you can learn about Near. Everything you can either start developing through Rust and Solana. You can either have Solidity at your space and learning about Ethereum. So people are very confused, they don't know how to take the part, how to move forward. So what you can do is learn about Ethereum. If that excites you, go ahead and develop on it. If Solana excites you, go ahead and develop on it. Then should I create decentralized finance related stuff, or should I work for non-fungible tokens, NFTs, which is currently booming, and even Budweiser or awesome beer has its NFT and things like that. So when you understand this particular show, you read about NFTs, you understand the DeFi, and know its scope and the future, you can take an informed decision. And that can be like one of the aims of this podcast, to tell you what you can actually pursue in the Web3 space. There is so much. People develop like hell in here, right? Just trying to give you the right directions, trying to make you or give you the right roadmap as to what you can take to move forward. So yeah, this can be something that we can actually go forward with.
Right. Now, with that, Pranav, we have a question from the audience, and the question is, kindly share the roadmap for blockchain development. I think we can take this question as of now.
Sure,
So what do you
sure. We
think?
can we can definitely look into that. So there is, okay, there are two types of questions that come around. First is, sir, I'm a very non-technical person. How do I be a part of Web3? The answer is very simple. Just listen to this show, understand the scope, understand the fundamentals of Web3, understand what Bitcoin was built upon, understand the economics of it, and you'll be good, because you love the technology so much that we'll just go on Twitter and chat about it, and people will be like, oh my God, this is great, right? So that is the community orientation, the marketing, the business orientation part of what you can do if you're not a technical person, right? You can, there is a lot of space, a lot of scope for people who understand, who can do community management, because protocols are community owned, right? It's not like Google owns everything on YouTube. In Web3, protocols are owned by community. They together take a decision, and we need community people to be a part of that particular. There are lots and lots of ecosystem managers, community guys, business development kind of people, trying to be there. So that's one realm. If you're a developer, again, the scope is huge. Currently, what the Web3 ecosystem is paying to developers is second to none, right? If you just go there and just ask for a salary, whatever you want you can get, because the markets are booming, right? Currently Bitcoin is at $1 trillion. It is ahead of silver. Ethereum is almost there with the market cap. So awesome. Like, what I'm trying to tell you is that there is a lot of scope, and economically it is very much beneficial. How do you pursue it? The first way, as I told you, is understand the basics of blockchain, which involves distributed system, cryptography knowledge a little bit, and understand a 101 of what blockchain is. Then, as I told you, you will have to take a decision. Do you want to learn Ethereum blockchain? Do you want to learn Solana blockchain? Whatever space specifically you want to go or and venture into private blockchain, it's your decision. And that you can do through by being a part of the Web3 show. You just learn about, as we talk about Ethereum and Solana, just take an informed decision, take the decision, and then go inside and read more about Ethereum. Awesome documentation. Again, one more thing, in Web3 nothing will be spoon fed, because content is less. You will have to, after understanding a docs, maybe Naveen in future creates lots and lots of playlists that he does for Java, but for now you will have to go to the docs, understand what it is, and then move forward with Ethereum and those kind of things. So you have to consume docs in a very awesome fashion, understand Solidity, and then just start developing a mini project, be a part of hackathon. Just go ahead and communicate, or just talk to Web3 focused people. And as I tell you, Web3 is very inclusive. If you just talk to them, they'll try to help you more, because we are trying to create the decentralized future. We need more awesome developers. So if you're a full stack developer, understand cryptography, distributed systems. It should not be a big lift for you, right?
Right. Awesome. Now we got this comment from Varun. And this is what everyone was waiting for, right? So they were looking for Indian government to do something about crypto, either allow it or ban it. And then we got this news, which is not awesome actually, which is a bit confusing, and because of which we have this misconception. So some people think India is banning crypto. So what is your thoughts on that?
All right. So again, one more important thing: China has banned crypto, but people still own crypto and use it. That what that means is this technology is not centralized. It's not like a single server that nobody allows to move inside in this particular space. It is a decentralized way of how people communicate, right? You might be able to ban the Google India servers, but will you be able to ban the servers of 5,000 node operators living in different parts of the world communicating together to create Ethereum? The answer is no. That's why if somebody tries to ban crypto, they will in general they will not be able to ban the technology. You will still be able to, first of all, own crypto. Secondly, interact with the decentralized application. Thirdly, be a developer trying to develop the blockchain. They would rather encourage that particular part. Secondly, about the crypto ban, I would tell you honestly, I have not, Mr. Modi has not called me yet. Neither I have good relations with him. But I can tell you for a fact, neither I have seen the crypto bill. I can tell you for a fact, because of the great adoption that crypto has. And now, since like lots of techie people who are known as visionaries, like Elon Musk, are talking about it, Indian government trying to portray as progressive, will not be able to ban crypto. There is 7.4 lakh crore rupees of Indians put in it. 8.4% of Indians have interacted with crypto at some point in time. What that means is most amount of people who have ever, invested or been a part of the crypto industry are from India. Although they are very small pockets, like 5,000 rupees or 10,000, but that the most. So the adoption of crypto in India is phenomenal. People don't understand the technology behind it, and that's why they think, crypto, if once banned, it becomes a scam and things like that. And that is the biggest mistake that they are doing. So to give you an answer in this specific, if India bans crypto, the technology will keep growing, because it is not possible to ban a decentralized infrastructure, to ban a decent thing, something which is not owned and controlled by a single authority, right? It will be rather a disadvantage to just these Indian banks, because they'll not be able to, like, Indian government, because they'll not be able to collect taxes on it. First thing. Secondly, there is a very small chance that crypto will be banned. Rather, it would be regulated, so that there is a separate taxation on the crypto as an asset kind of thing. And I think that is something that we are moving forward with, because as I told you, India is a developing and a progressive nation, which would encourage blockchain. So that's the second part. And thirdly, if you are a developer, nobody can touch you, because you are just developing the next, what they call as, we want to encourage blockchain technology. So learn blockchain technology, learn about the learn about crypto as a token which can be used to create the next web, which is the Web3. Try to develop on it, be a community person, and you will be good, right? Don't miss the train, be a part of it. There'll always be a lot of fun when something new is being created. As I told you, when internet was born, even my parents were like, why should we learn it? Nothing is going to change. But now just see, the people who are new, or were the first early adopters, were the now are now the biggest. So that is what
Right.
blockchain is giving you right now. Don't listen to news given by like mainstream media.
Yeah, and
Listen
not
to the
even
right
WhatsApp news.
and take an informed decision. And that's why we have created this show, guys. I would definitely say this is the reason, just to give you the right information through right sources.
Right. And just to add to that point, which Beno mentioned about banning something, see, crypto itself is a part of technology, right? And as I mentioned, you cannot ban a technology or the token in that sense. Now, if you think about the torrent aspect, when torrent was getting famous, everyone thought, hey, that will be future. Everything will be available on the torrent, and it is actually. When I want to use Ubuntu, I don't download Ubuntu from the official website. I go to torrent. I download Ubuntu from torrent, right? Now, torrent is illegal, right? Not exactly. It's just that on torrent we have piracy issue. So a lot of movies, softwares are getting shared. So those illegal activities are actually banned, but not the technology. In the same way, when it comes to crypto, They will not ban crypto, as Pranav mentioned. They will regulate it. But yes, the illegal activities on crypto, that is something they are targeting here. Maybe if you're doing some smuggling online, if they are doing some online lottery system online, which will harm people, that's where they will try to regulate crypto. Banning is not possible, first of all. So even if they say from today, let's ban all the cryptocurrency transaction, but how will they do it? We have our decentralized exchanges now, where you can actually do transactions using a pseudo address. It's actually impossible to ban something. But yes, you can't actually, if they say it's banned, the only thing is, if you transfer money to someone, you can't go to police station to claim that, because it's not a legal tender. That's what max is going to happen. But then they cannot ban this technology, and that is going to be future. So in future, most of the companies, they will be using public blockchain for the transactions, and of course they have to incentivize, and that's why we have tokens there. And but
Definitely,
as
and
Pranav
the
mentioned, it's
adoption.
all about, so
Mhm.
this show is going to give you more about it.
Also, just to tell you, like the adoption of Web3 is massive right now. As I told you, Facebook changed its name from Facebook to Meta, which is the metaverses. Again, talking about it in the future, it is a part of the Web3 cult, right? Lots and lots of people coming out with their NFTs. Amitabh Bachchan just launched his NFT. Thirdly, and again, a very important part, Square, Jack Dorsey left Twitter to now be a part of the Bitcoin cult. That guy is now a part of the Web3 cult, a part of Bitcoin, and trying to promote that. Square changed its name from Square to Block, part of the blockchain space. Fourthly, MicroStrategies invested, and again, MicroStrategies is not a startup. MicroStrategies is a billions of dollars of company in US, which has which actually has been listed on the Nasdaq, which is like BSC in India, Nasdaq in the US, right? They have their treasury in Bitcoin. Michael Sayer is a big promoter there. El Salvador has created a Bitcoin city of its own. So the adoption and these particular newses would make us like believe that these are some early trends which will actually follow to create the next big thing, right? So first of all, don't listen to FUD, rather understand the fundamentals, and you will not just be good, you will be doing better than what people currently are doing, who listen to news and talk about just the general public. So your part would be to take informed decisions. How do you take informed decision? By being part of these informative podcasts rather than being part of these news kind of TRP kind of places. Be part of the place where technology is being discussed, which talk about token as a utility, as a governance model to create the next people owned platform, right? So if you talk through that, you will always be good.
Awesome. So what's the plan for the next week, Pranav? Since we have talked about the all the things in the opening episode, so what do you think? What should be the next thing for the next week?
Definitely. Like, as I talk to you about Solidity, blockchain has, taken a very long journey. It started off with Bitcoin in 2008, then started with Ethereum. Bitcoin was like, a decentralized way to, see how communicate economics work, to have like, digital way of having gold, for example. Digital assetization, you can say. Then came Ethereum, in which we don't just distribute and decentralize assets and everything, but it is general purpose way to decentralize everything. So that was the second step to making that happen. So you can say Bitcoin was the first, then came Ethereum, then we have private blockchains like Hyperledger and those kind of things, and then there was a big FUD, with CryptoKitties coming into picture, and Ethereum getting clogged and a new infrastructure being built. But people who understood the fundamentals kept on developing on Ethereum. They never left the Web3 space. And that is how 2020 people, this actually expanded, right? In 2020, when people who are building on Ethereum came into existence, now it is big. So it is now not just Ethereum, but different sectors like decentralized finance, non-fungible tokens, social tokens, and things like that. So we'll be covering all these aspects that currently is a part of the Web3 space, including, let's say, Ethereum as a project, Solana as a project, non fungible tokens as a paradigm, decentralized finance as a paradigm, then there are projects inside decentralized finance, like let's say Aave, Maker, Instadap, all these big. In NFTs also there is OpenSea, super rare. What can be the utility of something which is a digital JPEG, right? What people call it. So those kind of things, exciting things are we are going to talk about. Of course, in the future we'll talk about how to develop on them, how to be a Solidity developer, how to be a Solana developer, how to be a Solana community person. But always the first part would be to understand the basics, to understand the fundamentals, to understand how this thing can progress, and we should be good.
Awesome. So that's our first episode, the opening episode. I'm so excited for the next week where we'll have one topic and we'll keep you updated on this channel. And I hope Pranav had a great time on this platform as well.
Love the energy, love the energy of these people who interacted with us. I hope, as I told you, right, we will grow with the show. What that means is that currently I'll not be using any terminologies or those kind of like Web3 cult things like WAGMI. I won't be using that particular word, right? We are not those kind of things. I'll be going from the super basics to the super advanced. So always tune in, understand this particular show, and grow with this particular channel, grow with this particular playlist. Start understanding from the basics. We'll be going to advanced, and I would say you would love being a part of it.
Awesome. So Pranav, before we close this, can you just put your social media handles on in the chat because someone is asking for it?
I can give my
They want to
Twitter if
connect.
that's yeah.
Yeah, you can use the
Uh,
chat window to answer that
I
in the comment
actually
section.
I cannot. I think I can put it in private. I put it in private chat. Can you like put it in the
Okay, I will share
yeah.
that in the.
Yeah, I put my Twitter. So like if you have any questions, the best way to answer them would be like, in every let's say, Naveen, we can have a 10-minute Q&A after every show,
Sure.
where we can discuss about it. But other than that, if you have more questions, my Twitter DMs are always open. Please contact me and we should be good. Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you so much, everyone. If you enjoyed this session, hit that like button because that's very important. That's how we know that you are enjoying it. And if you have any feedback, any comments, please let us know so that we can customize our show as per your needs because we listen to you, right? We are not like big companies who will do whatever they want. So we are more into blockchain where we will take your feedback and we'll work on that. So thank you so much, Pranav, for the first episode. We'll connect for the next week and we'll do some awesome content for the next week, second episode. So thank you so much, Pranav. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining and see you in the next week. Bye bye.